welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Collector Zone. Today, what I have for you is a review. The review it was a short documentary. I want to say it was between 30 and 40 minutes. And it was just a really great short documentary that I came across when I was looking at pro wrestling stuff on Amazon. And I know it is available on Amazon Prime to watch for free, or you can rent it as well, I'm assuming, if you're not a Prime member. But otherwise, I don't know of anywhere else that this documentary may be available. You might be able to search it on YouTube or the Google Play Store and see if it is there. But I'm not sure because it wasn't like a big production release documentary. The documentary I am talking about is called New Girls in Town, A Resurgence of Women's Wrestling. It was produced in 2016, and what this documentary was about was overall just what's in the title. It's about women's wrestling and the resurgence of women's wrestling. Now, I really enjoyed this documentary because it was short and to the point. It didn't drag on. It wasn't an hour and a half, 2 hour documentary just for no reason. It started off in the beginning, it started off by playing little clips off of Stone Cold, Jim Ross's, and some of the other wrestler or people that have been within the company that have podcasts, that they were playing little clips that were actually playing on and talking about women wrestling and the resurgence that it's actually making, the real resurgence that it's making. Because I feel that right now, the state that we're in with women's wrestling actually has been the best that it's ever been. That it shines true to actually wrestling nowadays. And I myself I had an issue back in the Attitude Era and stuff like that. In the Attitude Era, women wrestling somewhat was starting to become bigger because of the whole factor of WWF playing on mud wrestling, bra and panty matches, stuff like that. But the problem was there was no real actual women talent there, putting out there as wrestlers basically for a showpiece that, if anything, really should have been some kind of manager, valet, something like that. In that era, there was Lita and Trish Stratus that they were probably two of the women in the WWF that really did actually have true talent, that they could put on more of a woman's match and make it look realistic versus the cat fight-ish kind of stuff. And that's what I enjoy myself, is where women wrestling can actually shine, and the women wrestlers themselves have actually been properly trained and can put on a real wrestling match and not just a cat fight or something like that, or be played off as bra and panties and stuff like that. Because with me, I love pro wrestling, and I always have loved pro wrestling, but I don't feel that it has that the wrestling business should have done what it did in the late 90s, early 2000s era with playing on the bra and panties matches, stuff like that. I did not enjoy that because that is not what wrestling is to me. They say sex sells and stuff like that. Okay, that's fine. But this is not adult rated, R-rated porn or X-rated porn. I'm watching wrestling to watch wrestling. I have no problem with women wrestling, but if you're just going to put them out there to be in a cat fight and be in their bra and panties, I'm going to turn the channel, fast forward, whatever I can do to avoid watching that, because that's not what I want to see. I want to see actual wrestling. And thank God nowadays, when we're watching wrestling, I no longer have to do that fast forward. And I myself actually even go out out of my way to watch women's wrestling nowadays, because the women's wrestling shines. There's companies like Shimmer, and Shine, and there was Women's of Honor, which is the branch off of Ring of Honor, that I think they do shows time to time, stuff like that, that they're overall, the women wrestlers are being used as real talent nowadays. And there are promotions that are fully women promotions like Shimmer and stuff like that. And nowadays, like NXT has a huge lineup of women wrestlers that are some really great talent. In WWE, they even still have some good women wrestling talent. Impact, I think, started using the factor of bringing women for the independents in from that like Shimmer scene and stuff before WWE did. And then once WWE saw what TNA was doing with the knockouts factor, their knockouts league and stuff, and the women's title and Impact, then WWE had to get a part of that, and they had to start signing a lot more women and good women, and they did. And that's the thing, and that's good that they did. And I'm not here to argue if that's the case, that's what happened first or what's not. But the thing of it is, there's a lot of great women wrestlers out there in the indies right now that can be found. There's a lot of great women wrestlers and Shimmer, Women of Honor, stuff like that just overall can honestly like amaze you and put on amazing wrestling matches. And that is the great thing about it, that there's wrestlers like Mia Yim, and when she was in Impact, she wrestled under Jade. And then there's women wrestlers like Velvet Sky. She was a really good talent. I don't think she's wrestling right now, but Gail Kim is a really great women's wrestler that I think she's retired, but she has came back out of retirement to do some matches here and there in Impact. And just overall, there's a lot of great women's wrestlers out there. Bailey, and just overall that can take it to the ring, take bumps, they can do the moves and everything and make it look real versus just a women's cat fight. And so that's what this short documentary is basically about, that they're just talking about overall the resurgence that women's wrestling is coming back and making their way back to on the scene, and just the new breakout. And this was in 2016 when this was recorded, and like Britt Baker was also in this documentary. There are, there's some familiar faces if you watch this documentary that you're gonna see that right now that they're either signed to NXT, WWE, or they're signed to, I think there might be a few that are signed to Impact right now. And then there's also some that are signed to AEW as well, like Britt Baker and stuff like that. So overall, this was just a real great short documentary. Like I said, it was about a 30 to 40 minute documentary. And I believe it's one of those that are only on Amazon, but I can't be 100% sure. So if you have Amazon Prime, just do a search for it. It's called The New Girls in Town, a Resurgence of Women's Wrestling, or just search Women's Wrestling and it'll come up as well. Overall, like I said, real good short documentary, making it to the point, doing tons of interviews with the women wrestlers and just asking them overall, the factors of how they got into wrestling and what they think about wrestling and what was going on in wrestling at the time and what should be done with women's wrestling. So overall, it was just a great documentary, short documentary to watch. And if I was you, I would check it out, take the time to watch it, because it's one of those you don't want to miss. It is a little bit of an older documentary now. It's 4 years old, but it's still great to go back and watch a documentary like this and also see where some of these women wrestling actually have ended up nowadays, that were in the independents, because I believe most of the footage shot on this documentary took place at a all AIW women's show that they had did the one day, and they mainly got the footage from that. And then there was some footage outside of actual wrestling show that was done as well. But overall, just a great documentary. And my scale that I am going to go ahead and rate this at is I will rate it out of 5 lariats, and 1 out of 5 lariats, and the rating scale that I'm going to give this is 3 out of 5 lariats. It was one of those that it's not an amazing documentary by any means, but it is a real good short documentary that was right to the point, and that shined on the fact of women's wrestling, the resurgence that it's making, the impact that it's making today and now, and it still stands true to what they were saying in 2016 to now, and it still stands true to what they were saying from 2016 to nowadays, and even more factors of probably now it's even shining through more, showing what they were talking about. So honestly, if anything, I would like to see this subject revisited by this company that did this documentary, and kind of touch on it again, and touch on it with some of these women wrestlers that they did talk to in this documentary, because I think that would be a good revisited documentary at some point, just like another short 30-minute documentary, because like just in 4 years, it is amazing how far women's wrestling has came from even 2016 to 2020. And like I said, this is 3 out of 5 lariats rated. It's a good documentary, short documentary. Take the time to watch it. It's not too long. It doesn't take all day to watch it, anything like that. And just, see what you think of it. Post below if you did watch it, or take the time to watch it. Post below what you thought of it. And just let me know overall what you think of it in women's wrestling, and where the status of women's wrestling is today. And let's start a subject on that. Thanks again for checking it out. This was Wrestling Collector Zone. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, so that you do get those notifications whenever we do post a video. And thanks for joining us again. Stay safe in this pandemic we are all going through right now in this world. None of us are safe at this point. The way to stay safe, stay home when you can and with your family. Enjoy life right now. Enjoy wrestling. Do what you can do to stay safe. You don't have to be outdoors all day in unsafe areas. So just stay safe, everyone, and have a great day.